sorry for the delayed start. We had some technical issues, and now we are back in action. Thank you, audience, for joining us today. So let me start right away. So we are living through a global crisis right now, unlike any other in the recent times. What is needed now are great leaders, leaders who will help us overcome our fear, our laziness, our limitations, our selfishness, our weakness for us to improve, work harder on things that we already were doing on our own. So in this webinar series, Leadership in Times of Crisis, I will be inviting leading global experts on leadership to share what makes a leader a great leader. So in today's topic, Empowering the Entrepreneurial Spirit, I've invited David Leighton, the co-founder and president at WITI, Women Technology International, to share how he's inspiring the entrepreneurial spirit at WITI. So thank you, David, for taking time for being my pilot guest on Leadership in Times of Crisis.
Well, thank you, Suresh, and I'm so sorry. Oh, thank you. And so, I moved out of a big city a year ago, which was great, as COVID happened and everything. But sometimes the internet isn't the best, and we have our little technical issues. But I'm so glad we're on live now.
Thank you again. So let's start. So the audience would like to know more about WITI. Can you share information about WITI?
Absolutely. WITI is a global organization that we founded in 1989 with the intention of really just building a community of our WITI members that are professionals that use technology to get to the next level so that they can have any connection, resource, or piece of information they need to get whatever they want.
That's good. So what's your mission right now?
Our mission now is, to continue to expand WITI. The other side of it, as I mentioned, for the individuals, for the companies, our goal is to help them really see beyond, understand how when they can create a culture that allows everybody to be fully authentic in how they work, that they're going to have so many more happy employees, happy customers, right? You're the happy doctor, you know that, right? And it's all just the vibe you can bring to the company, and I think as women, kind of fell into one of the diversity categories, and a lot of the programs were created that are numbers driven, is to remove that and help companies get the value and the business opportunity for engaging more women and people, that will come in all types of sizes and shapes and colors and everything else.
That's great. Thank you. So I know that WITI is also the outsourcing partner for some power companies, that women networks that you create for them. So could you share which companies you're working with right now?
For sure. One of our models is where, as companies have these women's networks, we can help support their employees. So companies like Microsoft, Huawei is a great partner internationally, Walgreens and CVS, there's drugstore. We have a lot of insurance companies, the Hartford, Geico. So, we work with these companies in a variety of ways to support their employees, get their brand out, and continue our research to help them understand how to be more effective.
That's sweet. So as COVID-19 tears us through country after country, city after city, town after town, how are you aligning WITI, both internally and externally right now, to face up to this uncertainty?
No, good. Well, Suresh, because I've been wanting to talk. I've been looking forward to our call, so I was a little aggravated when the internet wasn't cooperating.
So no problem. Take your time.
Because I feel like, right? I feel like for us and for the entrepreneurs out there listening, there are just so many opportunities. So many of these industries industries where you want to compete. You know, if you're in the conference business, if you want to compete with a CES or a Mobile World Congress or some of these big shows, now everything's flat, everything's online. We can do things, right? So all of a sudden, we can jump into many of these categories. You know, and if we look at just how fast these digital transformation projects are going on, you know, we've really advanced 10 years at least, right? And then now how can we look at the next 10 as entrepreneurs? And, you know, and being tech savvy, and, you know, I know many of us have worked out of our garage or wherever we started, right? We've adjusted. And I feel like what the pandemic did was level the playing field. Back to your original question for us, we're certainly leveraging it to expand into many markets. I had an amazing call this morning with two ladies in Bahrain. And I do want to send our thoughts and prayers to the Prime Minister of Bahrain that passed away last night. He's very beloved, you know, father of the country. But, you know, to Egypt, right, where we work together, to our India event tomorrow, and just really now being able, you know, for me individually, to kind of pop in like I'm on Star Trek or something into these different areas, right? Yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing with WITI, and that's what I recommend. I mean, with the entrepreneurs, you know, I know I'm sure a lot of people have been going through a lot. I know that, right? Whether it's our personal business, can't pay rent. I mean, people have all sorts of variety of issues depending on where they are. But I just, you know, I think taking a deep breath, resetting, trying to clear your mind of what you know. You know, here's an example. You know, when we had our first our virtual conference in June. This was our 26th annual summit, right? So we've done 25 physical events, and then we did the third one. Excuse me. Then we did the 26th one. We had to go virtual. I'm hearing an echo too, Suresh. Are you hearing that also?
Okay, give me a second. Let me see.
I have been. I've been trying to.
Okay, I will mute myself, so that might help you.
Okay. Oh, that sounds good. Okay. So, you know, the 26th annual summit, we took the program we had been doing the 25 years, you know, and that physical, and then we put it all in the 2 days packed, right? Because normally people are driving to the convention center, paying for parking, and you can't get, right? You know, and if we all remember back then, it was like March, when's it going to end? And then finally we had to, like, you know, tell the Hyatt, hey, you know, and we shifted, and it was awesome. But one thing we did was we tried to take what we did physically and now do it virtually. If we, you know, now we're having our next summit, December 8th, 9th, and 10th, where now that's 3 days instead of 2, but we'll have about the same content, maybe even a little less. You know, we want people to work it into their schedule. I think it's a new way of doing business. I think people too, you know, were able to engage speakers that are awesome, you know, where sometimes we wouldn't be able to get them, right? And, you know, and even at the micro level, Suresh, right? Like in Los Angeles, where I moved from a year ago, and even like the Bay Area, maybe people are more familiar with, but you'd never get somebody, you know, try to get somebody from San Francisco and Santa Cruz to the same meeting, or Pasadena and Santa Monica, right? Now at least we can, you know, do these Zoom. I think as we get used to it, and we start getting back to whatever the new normal is, I think it's going to be a hybrid, right? We're going to be able to meet and interact this way and then get together somewhere in between, right? So I'm just excited, and I'd really encourage everybody to, participate. WITI.com. We have great programs, but there's a lot of stuff out there. ACM, depending on what area you're in. ACM, the Association of Computer Machinery, one of the, them and IEEE are probably the most respected. IAB, the Interactive Advertising Bureau, and they, for anybody, young entrepreneurs, whether they want to market their program or get into like digital marketing, digital advertising. There's so much great information, and now they like stream a live show that you can watch. I think it's every Wednesday. People like Charlene Leaves, one of the expert, social media people. Now they're right there for you, right? And even at the conferences, where sometimes you'd want to maybe connect with a speaker. I was at last weekend I participated in a group that's kind of more of a men's version of WITI, and I was in a breakout room with Terrence Howard, the actor, and it was just 4 of us, and he was an awesome guy, and he does some work in tech, and right, I never would have like rushed up to the stage to try to meet him, but we were just able to relate at a level where, and I think the planet's healing. I think I think there's a lot of opportunity in sustainability, ag tech, ag bio, a lot of interesting things going on. So, I kind of think it's like the Toys R Us, for entrepreneurs, right? A lot of opportunity. I can't hear you. You're still muted.
So it's definite that I can see that you're communicating more with your teams and customers. So it's no longer the limited time span that you had before.
Absolutely. And just think of the talent pool also, right? I mean, you can get deals. People are looking to outsource. You can get if you're in an uptick and you need to hire people. My background had been mostly finding software experts for software companies, semiconductor. And I'd search the planet for them, I mean, once I had a guy that I was moving out of Dell, not Dell, he was an old digital equipment guy, but I was moving him out of Boston to this company, Transmeta, this old chip company. It was done. They love him, the best engineer they've ever had. He wouldn't move because he was in a 21-year Dungeons and Dragons game every Tuesday. Now with him, they ended up building a technology center around him, but now he can zoom right in, right?
Exactly. And that's what is changing the way organizations operate. And I can see you are taking the full advantage of this, because many companies are not taking the advantage of tech. And tech is crucial right now, because in a way we must downsize companies to stay lean and tough to pass through this difficult, challenging period. And tech is crucial in any way, any form right now. And companies should really somewhat find tech that will work and benefit for them right now.
Absolutely. And I think they're seeing too a lot of the things. The companies, right? If we think about their 2020 budget, they were going to be at Mobile World Congress and have a big sponsorship, and they were going to have all the sales leads, right? Where are they? So now, I think they're very open for new ways to engage people, right? And yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting. And any of you entrepreneurs out there, there's nothing really, because I know sometimes we get so buried in what we're doing that our blind go on, and really creating from nothing and to leave all of your hypothesis and every, preconceived notion about why something won't work, right? We all have that voice in our head. But I think we really got to, try to clear it and now look at some of the spaces and say, okay, the only thing I can't do is what I say I can't do. So I say, I'd rather say I can do. We have a choice, right?
I love that, creating from nothing. And that's what you teach at WITI. You teach women, you empower women to seek more than employment, because you are trying to create entrepreneurs out there so they could create new products, new services, be their own bosses right now.
For sure. And like you said, I think women and, in U.S., many cultures around the world, we're a lot of times raised to believe women are X and men are this, and they're supposed to do this or that, right? They need to get rid of all that stuff too, so that they can now, really get whatever they want, whether they work, at a Google or a Microsoft, or if they, are going to start their own business, which a lot of them do because they don't want to deal with the BS going on at these companies. And the companies are losing this phenomenal amount of talent that they're not capitalizing on. So I think we're going to see a lot of transformation to this whole area too. When we talk about diversity and inclusion, how it used to be, how it's, I think just seeing more as a, kind of a, checking the box. And I think just, now as we've advanced and as we've just kind of really sped up 10 years in technology and advancement, I think people are getting, you need diversity of thought. Your customers, if your team doesn't look like your customers, you're probably leaving a lot of money on the table and may not be in business too long.
So exactly.
My opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a fair opinion, because if you support your people, they will support your business, and they are the best advocates to sell your business. And that's what I see you are doing. You are empowering your own people so they could empower others to come and succeed as well.
Yes, thank you, Suresh. No, that's meaningful. Because, at the beginning of WITI, that was the goal, right? It was 89. They had just coined the term glass ceiling in a U.S. News and World Report article. Some say it was Wall Street Journal, but we'll talk about that one later. Women were 50% in the States, 50% of the workforce, but such a small fraction of management, upper management positions, right? And so why was that happening, And that was, so the approach that we took with WITI, and there were groups, very angry on TV, which everybody had a right to be. Was that going to get the end results? Or, were these other communities starting? What we wanted to do from day one, hey, no one's wrong. Let's just create a community where everybody supports each other, helps everybody get to the next level. And then let's educate companies on why this makes business sense and why they'll make more money. And if we just focus on those two things, then I think things will open up. And, it's been a long journey and we've banged our head against the wall many, many times. But again, I think this digital transformation and a lot of the unfortunate things that went on in the world that have been, thank God for the camera phone, right? I mean, a lot of this stuff, I worked Philippe Kahn, who I worked for Borland for many years, invented or had all the patents on the camera phone. So it's like, now I see the George Floyd incident and just some things that are now, it's like, it's good, it's great that people are waking up. And what can we do, Suresh?
Exactly. So let's get deeper right now, David. So who do you look up for inspiration or mentorship right now, or even in the past?
Well, John King my business coach, my first business coach. He wrote a book called The Coaching Revolution. And yeah, him, I just learned so many just valuable, nuggets that he gave me when I feel like I'm running into an issue. One thing I love what he said was, if it's getting difficult, you're thinking too small. So that, right? So I think that's for us entrepreneurs. Okay, am I letting my fear run me?
That's sweet.
And but I'd say probably the best piece of advice I got from him was just when he started a meeting. He said he was teaching class at the time, but he held up his business card, his business card, and that's what he brings. He doesn't forget the presentation and all this because it's all about this, right? And if you and I like each other, we're going to have a relationship. We'll figure out a way to do business together, right? So and I know sometimes that we're in a stuck, and and we've got to get rent or make payroll. We want to rush, but hey, you just have to, you really have to build relationships. And I think if you do that, and you certainly do your due diligence about the areas you want to excel in, sky's the limit.
Very awesome. Very nice. Thank you. So let's go here deeper. So what is one decision you wish you didn't make during this pandemic?
I wish I did not make?
Yeah, during this pandemic, like any deal you made wrong during this last 6 or 7, 8 months.
Now this is a tough one. I wasn't expecting this.
That's what the audience wants to know.
Yeah, I think I'd say I didn't. It was a plus and a minus, right? Because I feel like we pivoted very quickly, and I'm not necessarily going to say it's a wrong decision, but we pivoted very quickly, made a lot of assumptions. I might have done that a little more strategically, knowing what I know now. I don't know if I knew this back then, right? So, no, I'm feeling pretty good about, what we're doing, where we're going, the voices of our community, like yourself, like Renee Redwood, who headed up the Glass Ceiling Commission, and we worked with her on the Glass Ceiling Report. Some celebrities we're talking to bring into the fold so that your message, Renee's message, people that we know are out there to help transform the world can be magnified. Yeah, it's exciting stuff, Suresh.
Thank you.
But can I ask you the question, though, Suresh? Did you say was there a mistake that you made?
Yeah, definitely. I should have invested more in the stock market. I would have made much more money.
True. Okay. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, so we have to think in numbers right now. Look at the amazing recovery in the stock market in the last week.
Right.
The best thing is we have not even.
And my
made
mask
profit.
business,
So let's ask you another question. So how are you keeping your team motivated despite the conflicts and obstacles you must be facing with them, I'm sure, because you're running an organization which hires a lot of female employees. So how are you managing them?
Yeah, it's been tough. Because it seems like every week, somebody's family member passed away a few weeks ago. Another one thought she had COVID, but then her father, so it's just like, so it's right. I feel like we just got to roll with the punches. We're a small business too. So getting revenue is like a priority for us and keeping everybody going. But I think certainly having the group calls and having one-on-ones. We have a great internship program where the young ladies and young men too are coming in, getting some great experience, but we're also able to connect them with companies and people and really help launch their careers. And I think that brings our whole team motivation when we can see, somebody get an advancement, or somebody get the promotion or get their first job. So it's been great. It's been satisfying. And I think now too, again, this whole ad tech space, like, you need to know that if you're listening to this, you need to know everything about ad tech, because if you need to use it to promote what you're doing or have a business in that, right? So I think, it's pretty exciting stuff we can do now.
Thank you. So let's go on to the next question. So what are the most important attributes of a successful leader today?
Empowering their people, I would say, and not micromanaging, and just really having clear communication, and then let your people take it and run with it. That's what I find.
That's great, because empowering our people is the best way forward. Because if we don't empower them to be their own leaders, how are they going to outshine us one day? It's all a great leadership is all about leaving a legacy behind.
Absolutely, because they can, and you're just getting these different perspectives, right? You and I have been around a little longer than maybe some of the people that work for us. So we've already kind of flooded ourselves with all of our preconceived notions and ideas. And I think we can give some of the people, the younger people, just people coming in from anywhere, a chance to look at our business. I'm starting to identify some people. Now I'm going to sit down. I just want them to look at our business. What would you do, right? Because I know I have blind spots. I just don't know where they are, right?
Yeah, that's exactly the model should be. It should be. It's all about diversity and inclusion, allowing any nationality, any race, anybody from anywhere in the world to interact and support each other. Because so many businesses are limiting themselves only locally. But right now, thanks to the pandemic, in fact, most companies could think globally right now. And what it needs is just very simple tech that is needed right now, and we could be almost anywhere, everywhere, at any time, that kind of thing. And we can even pre-record sessions, like how we will do this event. It will just be pre-recorded for whoever was unable to attend it right now. So that's what's great about it. So let's talk about your current goals.
Yes.
Person and at WITI.
My current role?
Excuse me. So I'll ask you again. What are your current goals as a person, as a leader, and at WITI? Your current goals as a person, as a leader, and at WITI. Like, what are your current goals for WITI?
Sure. Right now we are completely reorganized. We're going over probably the second reorganization since the pandemic. We've been growing quite a bit as far as people participating in events and communicating. We're having more and more companies come in and sponsor, but some things have been slowed down with the election in the U.S. I don't know if you're familiar. We had a recent election, if you heard about it. Right? So these are always the juggling act. I've got my aspirations to grow. We've never brought in outside funding to WITI. We may do that now. I'm not sure yet. I want to do it. So just a lot of decisions now I have to make while running the day-to-day. So it's it's an interesting time. So back to the question, Suresh. I help run our operations. Some of the things I'm doing for the future of our business, making sure that we have solutions for our clients that are supporting them, and we're able to grow and keep them doing a ton with analytics and Salesforce. One of our newer partners, we have this amazing Salesforce hub now, where people can get trained on Salesforce. And there's tons of jobs out there for companies looking for Salesforce administrators. Or maybe they want to get into customer success, or sales management. Whatever it is, that's kind of what we're creating.
That's great. So one thing that makes you proud, what would that be?
I'd say what makes me proud is that 30 years later, 31 now, we're still here. I mean, we've seen people that have come in as a, IT person in their first job that's now like Karen Antrell. We met her. She was an engineer on the Cadillac team that built the Cadillac. Used to be in the Cadillacs of the conference. Now she's CIO, I think, of GlaxoSmithKline, one of the big biotech companies. That's what brings me satisfaction. And I think too, so one other thing I'll add, I think the relationships I've built, from people I've, brought to Borland in 89 or 90, many of them I still communicate with today and, are friends with. So I think it's, keeping your relationship rolling. And that's another thing, Suresh, sorry, for the entrepreneur. And Suresh, you'll tell me, you probably agree with this. It is a small world, a small industry, right?
Very,
So that person you may want to call or write that email or text to could be right next to you, or somebody you need in the future. So just keep those relationships and figure a way to nurture the relationships. And one thing too, Suresh, that we get over and over again. Well, just everybody wants to build their network once they got laid off, or their customers or their company sold or something, right? They have to build it now. If not, and then when they need it, it's there. And I think too many people are in the reactionary mode. Now is a great time to do that. With the pandemic, and people are, and there's just, right, everybody, you and I, you're in Egypt, I'm in California, right? But we know that we're both trapped in our houses, right? Or we have limitations, right? So we can always kind of find that common, value or things that we're working on, and then sprout a relationship out of that. So.
Thank you. So let's talk about this now. What's the most important risk you have taken, and then tell us why.
I mean, it was probably when we had gone through the second, I'd been out of WITI. I mean, I helped my mom that started WITI, and I helped her, I helped her, but I was always kind of running our other businesses. And then I'd started a company, risk analysis group after 9/11, and we're growing a lot in that space. And that was doing pretty well. And WITI had gone through its second CEO that had just put the business like over $1.5 million in debt. Told my mom just to put it in bankruptcy and leave. So I think, and at that point, I had to make a choice. Am I going to keep going with risk analysis group? Or, do we just jump in and figure out a way to save WITI? That would probably be the biggest risk. And it was, I mean, it was very painful, but it was just a great learning experience. Negotiating to get out of leases, all this debt had been done with banks, and I had to, and everybody saw WITI as like this, big organizations. We had been around for 20 years before that, but no one knew what was going on. It kind of gave some other groups a chance to take the lead against us. Yeah, but I think just diving into that and continuing to transform, and as we build today, a lot of the tech and the game plan that was for WITI and what we want to do for the world, for all of the humans, is today. So I think that would probably be it. Just, going all in on this stuff.
I'm sure you have not shared this story with many people, so it's good that you revealed it to all your WITI members and all those people who are listening in today. That you had to take a chance, leave something that you had already built up, to take something over that you had to restart, just rebuild again from scratch.
For sure. And then, my mom had taken the risk at the beginning of WITI. Criterion research, we had been growing a lot of our new way to help companies identify people, but she took a risk to stop that. I mean, fortunately, I landed Borland as a client right before they took off. But hey, if you want, and that was it. I mean, and that's why with WITI, we're a for-profit company. We don't want women to be, looked at as, we don't want companies to feel they need to help the poor women or any of that stuff. We want them to see the great business opportunity, and then we can have a conversation about it. And for years, that's hurt us. These companies wanted to donate to a nonprofit because they're not serious about it in a lot of cases. But we've had to stay strong with that, and, hopefully it'll end well.
I'm sure this will take you further out. So let's talk about this. So are you continuing to grow and develop as a leader? Because we as leaders have to keep growing, evolving. So what are you doing on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis? How are you growing as a leader?
Sure. Well, I did start meditating a few months ago, so once a week, so that's been good. I think participating in different forums. I do, I did a lot of this landmark education work. So, I think a lot of that transformational leadership stuff, kind of continues to help me help myself, if that makes sense. Because I can step back and look at things and separate. And I think the key is separating, fact from what you made it, right? So things happen, and then we can choose what that is, right? So I got rear-ended and my car's totaled, right? I didn't die. I'm great. I get a new car. Oh, blah, 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 right? I mean, that's as humans, we do it. So I think just having those and being able to step back and look and owning everything, right? Because I think, if you can own everything, then you can fix it. When we want to do the blame game with everybody, there's a common denominator of all those people, right?
That's Yoda talking right now. I don't think most leaders will agree with you, but thank you. That's great wisdom you're sharing. In fact, it should start as low level management as possible, that you see things from the outside, not from the inside, because otherwise it's difficult. It's always nice to see it from another perspective. Thank you for sharing it. So let's see. The next question. So currently, I know you talked about alignment of your company, but are you changing the vision and mission right now due to the pandemic? Have you tweaked it, or has it been changed drastically so you can have that survival, like persevere from this current pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've definitely changed quite a bit. I mean, we changed and are continuing to. And I think that was the question, right? How have we changed? Because it was a little choppy. Um, taking more as we want to expand in the past, right? Before we go into an Egypt, we'd have to find a company that would be willing to be a sponsor just so we could cover our costs and try to get things rolling there, right? Now we're able to turn these things on, start at grassroots, leverage a lot of our programming around the world. One meeting we're going to have at the end of November, the Thanksgiving holiday here in the States, is just to take a step back and look at it. Now that we're on this yearly, this global calendar, and our team in India and Philippines and New York, right? Wherever they are, what types of things are meaningful? What can we give them to get ahead? Just kind of relooking at our whole calendar and schedule and getting feedback from our community. So
Thank you. So
I'm
now
excited about
let
that.
me ask you this great
Sure.
question. How do you generate great ideas for your organization? Do you do it alone? Do you have a team? How does that come out? How do you create ideas?
Um, Sometimes they'll come to me. So, like, when I'm playing hockey, I think, it's all been canceled because of the pandemic, or skate or stuff, or walking my dog and just trying to think. Um, I read a lot. I always get, the Silicon Valley Business Journal is a great paper. So just flipping through those trade rags too, and just kind of looking at different issues. I try to approach things, from the women in tech standpoint. Where could there be opportunity? One thing we're getting into quite a bit with WITI now is quantum computing. And, we'll probably be making some big announcements there soon, but I just see the whole quant space as so phenomenal because, it's something where finally the hardware caught up to the power of what can be done. So, it's just, it's a whole new area now where we can, if we do it right from the beginning, that we could have some great diversity, and there's powerful women leaders in the space already. So, I love these new areas. That's what gets me excited. And then thinking about, okay, I know that's coming. Where's the space I want to fit, right?
Thank you.
And that's been a challenge. Sorry, I'll just let me, because
No, no,
one thing I
continue,
was
please,
doing
please.
at,
I'm not trying to stop you.
yeah, because back, in my recruiting business, and I worked with some of the world experts, that invented, Lotus 1, 2, 3, or, a lot of the early software programs. And, but just then how do I work with them, right? It's just like, do I have to just keep moving the person from one company to another, or get them to, and so that wasn't necessarily doing it, right? So then as an entrepreneur, with my entrepreneurial hat on, how can I leverage those relationships? I mean, I think a great exercise to do, which, John King takes me through too, is doing this, God. And if you search John King Coaching Revolution, I'm sure there's stuff on the web, but he has kind of this diagram where you put in, what your core values are in the middle, and all the connections and relationships you have in one quadrant, right? And then, then you can kind of step back and look at it, and then sometimes it's easier to put those puzzle pieces together when you kind of take a step back and look.
Exactly. So let's talk about what are the important traits that you look for hiring a new employee for WITI. I know you spoke like how you hired for different companies in the past, but now currently, what are you looking for when you bring in new people at your company? What kind of traits are you looking for?
I'm looking for intelligence, experience. Targeted experience is great too, but I'm looking for sharp people that I can tell have a lot of integrity and a solid character, and that would be passionate. Where what we're doing aligns with what they want to do. Because if you don't have that, you're not doing it favors to anybody. So I think the more we can, match people with what they were do, it's going to be great for me because I know they're going to be awesome at it, and it's going to be great for them. And they may leave and start their own company or do something else, but I think as leaders, we just have to take that risk.
As long as you are, see, at the end of the day, entrepreneurial spirit is all about that. They learn skills which they acquire and they bring in another business. As long as they're not copying what we are doing, we are fine. In fact, we should encourage that kind of spirit, because as long as we are empowering them to go bigger or do something greater than us, it's good. I don't think we are limiting them that way.
No, it's great. I know, and I don't know if it's current, but I think Google and a lot of companies do this now, where they want their employees to spend 20% of the time working on something else.
Mm-hmm.
Just a new idea, right? I don't have the luxury yet to be able to do that with our small team at WITI yet, but certainly, we try to just have those meetings, do some open brainstorming, really try to focus on our core, what we do well, but because it's very easy to get sucked into, we should do this, and come up, and then you start spreading yourself too thin in your resources, right? I mean, sometimes it's like, okay, we've got this great product, let's just sell a bunch of them and add on slowly. I think that's cost a lot of entrepreneurs that just want to do it all, and I think you just have to rein those things in. As exciting as, it sounds, and it could be a great opportunity, but, it may be not proven yet, and who knows, so.
So like that idea you were just talking about, like allowing our employees to only work 20% like on other projects. The whole idea behind that is, like, in a way, companies are encouraging incubation within their own enterprises. So a large company can create multiple businesses within their own teams. So it allows them to expand into new areas otherwise they would have not done. So that's what P&G is doing, Unilever are doing, all these large MNCs around the world, even Google, Yahoo, everyone is just working is how we could use our teams to create new businesses for the organization so they can expand that way.
Right. So then the entrepreneur is getting the shaft
Exactly.
when taking their idea, right?
So let's talk about this now.
I hear you. Hey.
Yeah, please. Yeah, you were saying something, David.
Okay, well, I was ready for the next topic, but I was going to say that maybe this is where you were going. But again, with the human capital that's available anywhere, right? And now you can get people working out of different countries or different parts of this, the U.S. run based, right? We're maybe hiring somebody in the Silicon Valley. Maybe it's more effective to hire somebody in Kansas, and maybe these people are moving to Kansas. I mean, there is an exodus out of a lot of these cities. Because I'll tell you too, Suresh, sorry. One, in 1993, I went and saw Eric, I forgot his last name, but he was the CEO of 3Com at the time. And they were talking, the internet, maybe it was 92. But, the internet's coming. Everybody's going to be able to work out of their houses. Companies are going to save a fortune. It's going to solve the traffic problem, rent, blah, blah, blah. Right. And I mean, the analogy I like to give is, they just started building Corvettes before they built the road. And that's kind of what happened with the internet. Everybody, it's like this pandemic we have now, where a lot of the younger people probably don't remember trying to dial into the modem to get on the internet, right? I mean, if we picked a time for a pandemic, we probably couldn't have picked a better one. So, yeah. So anyway, I feel like, again, everything's just starting now. Like the internet, right? You could probably take half of the business plans from 95 to 98 and launch them now. And there's probably a ton of billion-dollar business ideas there.
Exactly. It took a pandemic for us to actually work from home.
Right.
So let's talk about this. Will be our last question because we have come almost towards the end of the show. So, what are the 3 books that you would recommend on leadership, or any books that you think will empower the entrepreneurial spirit?
So I'd say, first of all, The Coaching Revolution by John King. And because I think books like that allows us to kind of remove the barriers we're putting up for ourselves. So I'd say, certainly his book, or some of the more maybe things in the self-help category, I think you can look at those and how they're helping you with business. That's kind of my go-to. Other books I read are more for fun. I like to play poker. I study that. So, and then of course, here I'll give some. But actually, I did get, and I don't know if you've heard of this, Suresh.
Wow, nice.
Humanocracy. Creating organizations as amazing as the people inside of them, by Gary Hamel.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him speak a few weeks ago. I highly recommend this book. I'm only a couple pages in, but just based on his whole talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd certainly encourage Googling him, Gary, last name Hamel. And I'm sure some of his talks.
Thank you, David. So let's continue. I'll just wrap up the show. So one of the greatest traits in being a great leader is the ability to share without expectation. If today's webinars help you generate more hope, optimism, and provide you with the advanced tools for making you a better leader, please share this video with friends and colleagues. Thank you, and see you all next week.
Thank you so much for having me, Suresh.
My pleasure. Thank you, David.